gonna get going with the NFC South. We're gonna break down this division in totality.
Can we just skip this division?
This is the worst division. We gotta talk about it. We gotta give the people what they want. We gotta talk about all divisions.
And about Kyle Trask.
They want the NFC
They
South.
want the Baker Mayfield.
They
Kyle
want Baker
Trask.
Mayfield.
They want it.
It's Bake Show, baby. Everybody loves Bake Show.
Right.
Well, we're gonna get right into the Bucks. They finished 8-9 last year. They got the first year without Brady. I mean, it's basically gonna be a Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask platoon probably. I mean, what are you guys thinking for the reigning NFC South champs?
Let me ask y'all this first off. Do y'all think there's any world where the Bucks have a chance to win this division?
Yes.
Like anybody can. I mean,
Anyone can win this division.
I agree.
This division's terrible.
I agree.
yeah.
I feel like most people have already written the Bucks off completely, but with the state of this division, I don't know how you can write them off. Like,
I mean,
they're getting Jensen back. They still have Wirfs. The O-line's decent. It's not good, but it's decent. They still have one of the best wide receiver duos in Evans and Godwin.
Yep.
And the defense is getting healthy now. They didn't have Shaq Barrett at all last year. They have him. I mean, they have
secondary's
players.
weak. They got players.
They have players for sure. Like, they should be competitive, especially in the NFC South. And I don't think it's the most crazy, outlandish thought to think that they can't win this division.
I mean, if you gave me like what's more likely, I'd probably say the Bucks probably finish closer to 5 wins than 10.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
but the record to win this division could be 9-8. It could even be 8-9.
That's what it was last year.
So
I mean, this division has the easiest record in has the easiest schedule in football. I mean, we know the Falcons have the easiest one, but I mean, the Bucks ain't going to be playing.
there are
anybody with
actually
us.
some low-key good defenses in this division, though. Panthers have a decent defense. The Bucks, if they have everyone healthy, have a decent defense. And you know the Saints, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, Marshawn Lattimore, like they've got players. So like the defenses of this division aren't going to be rollovers except for the Falcons. The Falcons is just terrible.
Should be improved, though.
Well, I think the big thing in just losing Brady is like, I mean, Todd Bowles, I mean, was never
think we
worth the
know
shit as a
he
head
can't
coach.
coach.
Yeah, you can't coach, and it's like,
Yeah.
you know what, Brady was probably doing more than Bowles was keeping the locker room together.
Well,
No doubt. Well, all the shit that came out last year about Bulls, too.
Yeah,
Like all the stuff
Yeah,
that
and
came out, how he doesn't have command of the locker room. Like he's making these just ridiculous decisions all the time.
And it'll be interesting to see what the team looks. So last year they were second in pass yards per game and 32nd in rush yards a game. We know last year
They couldn't
they
run the ball
had
for
an historically
shit.
bad running offense,
Yeah.
and that's because they were down in a lot of games. Brady was just airing it. So it's going to be interesting to see, though. It's such an unknown. Like, what is this offense going to look like with Baker there? Obviously, they're not going to pass the ball a shit ton like they did with Brady in there now. They're going to have to establish some sort of run game. And we've seen Baker can't sustain any good receiver play on the outside. So it's going to look a completely different offense, and I kind of wonder what that is going to be. But
not
definitely
good.
different.
I mean,
Definitely
if
different.
Baker can capture some of that early career magic, and like he's never done
Did
well.
he ever
with,
have magic, really, though?
He did his. Do you remember his rookie? He won
But
Rookie of the Year.
I think he was more of a product of a really good
I
system
think he
around him
was.
and personnel.
I know you remember that Hard Knocks season where everyone was creaming their pants
Yeah.
about him, and then he came in week 3 and went like 16-17 and was lighting it up. I don't think
His
Baker's
first game.
good.
His first game.
No, he had a great rookie year. He threw for like 27 touchdowns in
He
like 12
did.
games. No,
Yeah.
he was great. I don't think Baker's that good, but the division's bad. If Baker can be adequate, or Kyle Trask, whatever, but I'm going to just assume it's Baker. If Baker can be decent, it can get the ball to his receivers. The defense can at least hold a little bit. If they're a decent team, they can win 4 games in division. And if they can win 5 other games, they can win this division. And they could be a team that it's like, if you match up bad with them, they're good in the trenches if they're healthy. If you're weak in the trenches and you match up with them, let's say in the first round of the playoffs, it could be a team that
I think if you face them any round in the playoffs, you'll be.
they're going to be a heavy dog.
They're
No doubt. They're going to be a heavy dog.
I mean, the Brady
just
Bucks
saying.
last year were a heavy dog. If Baker's Bucks.
Well,
sneak
the
in,
other
they're-
thing, too, is most likely whatever team wins this division is going to be the 4 seed, which
Yeah.
is either going to play
It's
the
gonna-
Cowboys or the Eagles.
It's going to be like last year.
So,
was. Yeah. So
yeah.
I don't like. They're a weird team though because they either have like very established veterans or they have really young, unproven guys.
There is a
So
world.
it's a weird mix of a team.
Yeah.
But it's a team that has proven capable players that have won at the highest stage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. There's a world to where they could
There's
sneak
a
out
world
8-9
where
wins
Baker-
it's a weird division and they win it. You never
Yeah.
know.
No.
So I think more likely they're going to be the bottom
100%.
of not just the division but the league probably.
Yeah,
and
if they're drafting top
I think
four, no one's
the
gonna be
Baker
surprised.
move shows that they're kind of showing their hand and saying we want Caleb Williams.
I do like the Baker move. I mean, Baker still, even at this point in his career, shows flashes. Even in that Rams game when he came in on Thursday night, like he shows flashes
was
still.
awesome.
I don't think anyone believes in them. I don't. But like,
I don't know if
I
it's
do like
flashes
this
or
move.
if it's just let's get some fans in the seats.
he played really well in that
Raiders-
Thursday night
Raiders
game.
in one
Rams
game.
game.
In the one
in
game.
one game,
yeah.
yes.
But that's what I'm saying.
In one
I'm not
game.
advocating for Baker, but I'm just saying there's a world where he has like a minor renaissance, and I like what the Bucs are doing because like let's just say best case scenario, Baker has a great year and he throws for 26 touchdowns and he has 8 interceptions and he throws for almost 4,000 yards. Then it's like you still have a young quarterback who is a former number 1 pick who you could then sign long term, and you have that's the hard thing too because if the Bucs need to go full rebuild, they have to blow it up because they don't have young players.
Yeah.
They're all old.
Well, that to your point there, that it could potentially put them in a weird spot because I think their mindset is we think Baker sucks, we think they're going to suck, but
Let's just throw him a bone.
But that's
give him
your
a chance.
argument to what if Baker actually somewhat pops a little bit and they compete for a wild card or some maybe win the division.
Yeah.
And then it's like, people are going to say, okay, maybe
What do we do?
we re-up on Baker.
Yeah.
And then that could lead them to a weird crossroads. And that's
gonna be a
that's
tough
not
position
an
to be in.
impossible scenario.
No, there's a
by any
world
means.
where that
there's a real
happens.
world where that happens.
Yeah.
So that that would be kind of funny to see.
It'd be great.
if that happened.
I'd love to get Baker dancing
Yeah.
for the games
and you-
every
oh
game.
yeah, and,
It'd be
and
great.
you know Tampa Bay
He's great
fans
for
would,
the league.
if they would buy into Baker
100%.
if he
yeah.
produces.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to produce and be productive, but if he does, then and there's an argument too that I mean this is for sure the best receiver group he's had for sure.
Yeah.
I mean he had Odell, but it was Odell and nobodies. but-
Going back to that comment, you said Baker's never done well with receivers, and he hasn't. But when he was with the
I'm
Browns,
saying from like receivers never put up big numbers with them.
yeah.
That's what I'm
But I
saying,
mean,
yeah.
you know him and Odell clash and all that. But when
Yeah.
he just had Jarvis that first year, they were great and they ran the ball well, and he was able to feed Jarvis, and the offense was fluid and it was good.
Well, it's because they were the best running offense in the league.
And the Browns were one of the best running offenses every year he was there.
And the O-line
when
was
Odell
stout
got
as
there,
hell.
I think that was a mix of Baker and Odell being the issue. And I'm not giving Baker a pass for the receiver issues he had. He has a better chance now, and I don't think he's been in a position like he is to be able to have the weapons he has now. Because even when he had Odell, he was coming off surgery. He had just left the Giants. We still didn't know what he was, and he had great moments, but he wasn't Odell. Like, he wasn't like Giants, like 2016 Odell. So, like, he is in the best spot he could be in. And if he can make that work, then he can make it work, and this team could push for 9-8.
Yeah.
But
So
it's
I don't know
unlikely.
if y'all saw this, but so I did an NFC QB tier 2 weeks ago, and I had Baker in his own tier as the substitute teacher is what I called him. And my
pretty fair.
My reasoning was that for what it's looking like on paper is that he's tanking, but I also left the slim chance of to where if he pops, then maybe the
Substitute teachers get jobs sometimes, man.
They get
sometimes they
permanent
do
jobs.
well.
I said maybe he becomes the permanent football coach at Briar Hill Middle School.
They show the right River Monsters episode, and they get the class involved.
Exactly.
Class is hopping in.
Exactly. So you don't know.
I think the bigger thing is if their run game doesn't get better, their offense
They're
isn't going to
screwed.
do anything. They have
Yeah,
to be able
they're
to run the
screwed.
ball.
Yeah.
The Baker needs to be able
Yeah.
to run the ball to have a
100%.
decent ball control offense.
Yeah.
It's the only way they're going to succeed.
That's actually a really
And
interesting
that-
front office question, though, is if Baker pops and the running game's the reason why, and it's like we can
Well,
re-up Baker,
I don't-
but it's like
He'll
we
get
know
like
we
his-
know what he is.
But
though.
if the running game doesn't pop at all, then there's going to be no
they're gonna be
production on the
bad.
field for Baker
No.
to even
They're-
question
oh,
if we bring him
100%.
back. So the running game has to come first for him to even have a fighting
100%,
shot.
100%. But that's why I'm saying it's an interesting front office question: is if
Yeah.
it pops, if the running game's good and
Well,
Baker's efficient,
Yeah.
then it's like, do we re-up with this old team and just try to ride it out, maybe make the playoffs a couple more times, or do we just say still screw it, we're blowing
And
it
I
up?
think
I wouldn't
they're-
blame
they're-
him for blowing it up.
And Ryan Jensen, he's going to be back. He's the first step to getting the run game back. Obviously, he's a Pro Bowl center. He'll be back this year.
love Ryan
But he's a good center.
That was Ryan Jensen.
But yeah, I mean, I think odds are that they're probably going to be pretty
Yeah.
shitty, and that it's going to be a full rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, if what's more likely, they're drafting in the top 5 next April, or they're contending for the playoffs.
They're top 5, and honestly,
Yeah.
too, if I'm a Bucks fan, like sure, it would be cool to see a Baker Renaissance story, but I would probably rather say, okay, let's suck, go
let's
get a
tank
top
and
pick
try to get
and
Caleb
and
Williams.
rebuild this. We won a Super Bowl a few years ago. Let's
Yeah.
build it back from the ground up.
Yeah.
But
Now, as betting men that we are, their win total's at 6.5. You going over or under that win total?
I'm going to go under just because they won the division, so they're going to have the hardest schedule out of the whole division.
That's a good point.
So,
That's actually
I
that's
could see
hard.
that going
That's a
over.
good
I could see
num-
7 and 10.
I could see 7 and 10, but like that's tops.
6.5 is where they should be.
That's a good number. I
Yeah.
wouldn't bet. Actually, I wouldn't bet that number.
I'd probably stay away.
Yeah, that's a stay away bet
No,
for me.
I can't pull this thing.
No, I'm saying, do you need more?
Yes, absolutely. If you can.
Yeah,
if you can manage it.
that's a stay away bet. That's a good number.
Yeah, I'd say so. All right, well, that's enough of Bucks and Baker talk. We're moving on to the Panthers. 7 and 10 last year. They're bringing in Frank Reich. They're bringing in Bryce Young, probably the most talented quarterback the Panthers have had in a while.
Cam.
I mean, well, since Cam, yeah. What are we feeling about this team? I feel like it's either them or the Saints that can win this division. So
I
more than
wouldn't
likely.
count out the Falcons either.
The Falcons have an
honestly,
incredibly easy
but-
schedule.
I mean, as far as the Panthers go, I mean, I've seen a lot of people recently been picking the Panthers to win the division.
They're like they're a trendy team.
They're training. I just don't think they're there yet. Like they have a good Bryce Young. I mean, we don't see rookie QBs succeed a lot with a 32-year-old, not trying to sound racist, but a white guy, number one receiver that's been declining for the past few years.
yeah, they have no
like,
weapons.
that's
They have
not-
no
No.
weapons.
That's not a recipe for
No, it's
success.
not.
Like if you're a rookie QB, I don't care if you're in a bad division. You need skill position guys around you.
Yeah.
And with Adam Thielen as your one and a DJ Chark that maybe plays half the season as your number two,
Terrence Marshall.
then
like
Ian,
what are we doing here?
a completely unproven tight end, a running back group that
I
they
mean,
got
Miles Sanders
They
is
got
good,
Miles Sanders,
but-
but I mean their run blocking isn't great. They have actually pretty good pass blocking with Akimi Owoku and Taylor Moton. They got a very
Yeah.
good tackle duo actually,
Yeah.
which should help Bryce Young a lot. I don't know how much is going to help the run game, especially with Miles Sanders going from that Philly interior O-line to the Carolina O-line. And their defense is decent. They got some pieces. They got
They got
Brian
a good
Burns
defense.
there.
They got guys.
They
But-
got a good defense.
They have no one to rush outside of Brian Burns, and I worry about that if you don't have a second edge rusher
Who's
at
that
all.
tackle they drafted? They drafted a tackle a couple years. A D tackle.
Yeter Mater Gross.
No, he's the edge.
Yeah, he's the edge guy.
You mean a D?
Derek Brown.
Derek Brown.
That's who it is. Is
He's been good.
at all?
He was good
Is
last
he?
year.
He's been pretty decent,
Okay.
yeah. But I mean, it's a defense that they were, they were 23rd in pass yards allowed and 18th in run yards allowed. So
I thought they were.
they might be a little
would
bit
thought they were
better.
better
They're
than
going to
that.
be middle of the pack. One guy, I didn't know this guy was Frankie Lavu. He's one of their middle linebackers. He's apparently a sleeper pick. I'm not going to say I know who he is, but
Sleeper
apparently
pick for what?
just to have a breakout year. He's
Oh.
apparently a good player. I think their defense will be competitive, but
I mean, when J.C. Horn plays, J.C. Horn's awesome
yeah, J.C. Horn will be good.
if he's healthy.
But they just don't have a lot of big names on the defense. I don't think their defense is good enough to make them a real threat to be a scary
No,
team. by
I don't
any
think so.
means.
Not yet.
No,
I mean,
definitely
when
not.
Miles Sanders is your best skill position player, that's not a
an
good
issue.
sign.
They have a young defense that has some players on it. They have a great. I love Frank Reich, and I know
That's pretty
people
high
have
for
mixed
him.
feelings about Frank Reich. I think Frank Reich's a great coach and he's a great offensive mind. Honestly, I think we don't know what Bryce Young's going to be. Like Bryce Young's great, yeah, but he's small.
Mm-hmm.
He has injury issues, and he played with Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle,
Yeah.
and the John Mechie and the entire receiving core of Alabama. Like we don't know what he's going to be in the NFL yet.
Yeah.
He's a small, undersized quarterback who has injury problems, who has struggled in games in college with great skill position
Yeah.
players around him. So I like the Frank Reich addition. They have a good defense. In this, they could win this division. I think the Saints are a
They
tier
could.
above.
But anyone could
But
win the division. At the end
anyone
of the
could
day.
win this division.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And the thing with like the Bryce, I mean they were right there a game or two back from win the division with, crap at
Walker.
quarterback last
Yeah.
year, and I think a lot of people are expecting Bryce Young to get them over that hump. I
They
don't
had
see
DJ
it
Moore.
in a year. Yeah, he doesn't have a number one. He doesn't even have
Yeah,
a number
his
two.
number one's
problem.
Adam
He probably doesn't
Thielen.
even have a number two. I don't even know if
No.
Thielen's a two at this point.
Yeah.
But I don't see Bryce Young elevating that much. He could elevate them to win the division, yes. But then again, anyone could win this division.
Panthers
But
aren't. Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of growing pains, I think. With year one Bryce Young, I think we'll see flashes. If he stays healthy, he's going to be good, most likely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got the tackles to protect him, which should be great for him. But if they don't get the running game going, but last year they were very good at running the ball, especially second half of the season. I mean, Deontay Foreman
was great.
Foreman pretty much had the same stats as Nick Chubb second half of the year last
Fantasy
year.
monster.
So
Steal.
that should help out Bryce Young a lot. Should be a fun team.
Yeah.
But
They'll be a scrappy team.
I
They'll be a
like
scrappy
them
They're
because
2
of the
years from
coach and the
competing.
defense. Like,
Yeah.
if you swap Todd Bowles and Frank Reich, I'd like the Bucks more.
Yeah.
I actually would. I think Todd Bowles doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
I think Frank Reich's a really good coach.
One thing I will say
that's
about
why I'm giving them the benefit of the
The
doubt.
Panthers, I will say, have the brightest future of any team in this division, but that's not really saying much. It's
So
just
that's-
because they're the only team that has a good young quarterback.
I mean, the only thing is if the Falcons were to tank and get Drake May or Caleb
Yeah.
Williams.
But I would say for
Then
right
they're-
now,
then they're
the
in
Panthers are the
business.
only team that has a clear
Direction.
direction of where they're going.
Yep.
This is
Yeah.
true.
Yep.
That's very true. But
So-
yeah, more than likely scrappy ball club.
What's their over/under?
Win totals at 7.5.
That's another tough number. I'd stay away from that too.
This is one division. If betting wise, I would stay away from all of the over because this division just beats the hell out of each other too.
well, they're all bad.
And they're all bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
If you honestly, if you want to,
it's the most unpredictable division in football.
I feel like if you want to like actually bet this like really bad, I feel like you just go look at the numbers to win the division and just take who has the worst odds and just throw some money on it and just hope they win. Like
I mean, because if you're betting the over, you're betting 8 and 9.
I can't.
I don't
see
think
it.
this team's an 8 and 9
I
team.
think at best
I
7
think
and
they
10.
could go
like
8 and 9. I mean, they went 7 and 10 last year with PJ Walker and who? Cam? Didn't Cam play a game or two?
Baker, probably.
Or was Cam 2
Baker-
years ago?
I think Cam was 2 years ago.
Was that 2 years?
Sam Darnold was there, wasn't he?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Sammy D.
Baker, Sam, PJ Walker last
It was
year.
bad, but
Yeah, it was not good.
And with fucking Steve Wilkes as the interim head coach for like the second half of last year, they went on a little bit of a run. I mean,
Yeah.
only 7
The
and
one
10,
thing I
but
guess you could say, which is a silver, they have a bunch of veterans now around Bryce Young.
yeah.
Thielen, DJ Chark. They also brought in Hayden Hurst. Andy Dalton could be a good mentor for Bryce Young as the backup QB.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But yeah, scrappy ball club. Next up, the New Orleans Saints. They were 7 and 10 last year. They add Derek Carr. You'd like to think they can hopefully grab a hold of this division. What do we think about that?
I think it's the Saints' division to lose.
I do too.
I think I don't know how you don't say that. I mean, they have the most proven, capable defense. Yes, say what you want. Dennis Allen probably shouldn't be a head coach.
That's the only reservation.
But
is Dennis
year in
Allen.
and year out, Dennis Allen produces very good defenses. And this defense has been together for a long time. They have elite level production on all three levels. Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu, Marshawn Lattimore didn't really play much at all last year. Marcus May. I mean, the defense is good. I mean, think about last year, we were all saying that the Saints defense was arguably the best defense in all of football.
Yep.
And I made this point last week, but the Saints defense last year, I think they were 7th or 8th in points allowed per game. And that's in a defense that was playing with Taysom Hill and Andy Dalton at quarterback to where they were in a negative. My biggest thing with that defense last year was in a negative game script pretty much every fucking game. The offense couldn't stay on the field,
Yeah, it
was
was
turnover happy. And how could any defense produce at a high level when you have no help on offense?
We all loved the Saints last year.
Oh,
I
yeah.
even said Jameis
I'm-
Winston is the sleeper. He's the sleepiest sleeper to win MVP because
Oh, yeah.
the team is good. And I think the biggest thing that comes out of the offseason is it's Derek Carr, but it's the presence and the hope that comes with him. Because when this team has Andy Dalton at quarterback or someone else, they know they're not going to do anything.
No.
Now this team's like, okay, Derek Carr is a proven winner in the league. He's been able to take crappy teams to the playoffs. He's been able to win 12, 13 games before. Like, if we can get him right, we have weapons if they're healthy and not suspended. I mean, if you got, like we were talking about earlier, 80% of Mike Thomas, you have year 2 of Olave.
80% of Mike Thomas would be great.
Yeah, you have Kamara.
60% would be good.
If Kamara is not suspended, you got great weapons.
And Jimmy Graham. He's back.
That's right. Juwan Johnson.
Graham.
Juwan Johnson's not a terrible tight
No, he's
end.
not.
Like,
Great red
you
zone
have
threat.
good weapons. You now have the quarterback to come in and command the offense and, like, bring a new energy to the team. Only reservation's Dennis Allen.
Yeah.
That's really it.
And we know what that is. We know Dennis Allen will give you everything he has on defense and set the defense up for success. It comes when we've talked to him about Pete Carmichael. I mean, we've talked about him too. Pete Carmichael,
Love Pete
the way
Carmichael.
he used his running back group last year was so
It was
bad.
atrocious.
Like, running up the middle on first and second down, power offense with Alvin Kamara is not how you use Alvin Kamara.
No.
But now they bring in Jamal Williams, who's one of the best power running backs in the league.
Yep.
You drafted Kendre Miller out of TCU I think they got him in the 4th round.
Third round.
I mean, 3rd round. Those are 2 guys now to where you could actually you can save and use Alvin Kamara for what he does best, which is 3rd down, scat back, dump off,
Passing situations. I mean, you want Alvin Kamara more involved than just third downs. But
Well, no, I'm not. I'm saying,
Yeah,
but
I
in
know what you're
in a
saying.
8 to 12 carries a game, heavy receiving out of the backfield, and let Jamal Williams and Kendry Miller run the first and second down up the middle. Because that's what they were doing last year, though. They would have Alvin Kamara on first and second down, power offense, power runs up the middle, 2-3 yards of carry, and then they would bring in Latavius Murray on third downs. It just it didn't make any sense. So you would hope that Pete Carmichael can look back on last year's tape and acknowledge that he messed up and then run it back correctly, as Sean Payton did his whole time with having Alvin Kamara. Sean Payton never used Alvin Kamara like that, ever. And I don't think any offensive coordinator that knows what they're doing would. So if Pete Carmichael can actually use him correctly, and then, like you said, Derek Carr brings in this swagger, this determination. He's probably playing angry.
He's a leader.
He's probably playing angry after the Raiders just dumped him. He should be. And now he has a chance to win an easy division, probably has the best roster around him he's ever had. And say what you want, Dennis Allen's not the ideal head coach, but I said this last pod that I don't think there's any quarterback in the past 10 years that has inherited a worse situation than Derek Carr. I mean, Derek Carr.
Oh, yeah.
Head coach-wise,
horrible.
the John Gruden thing was terrible. The Henry Ruggs killed someone. Like, he had to deal with so much just off the field and front office, just chaos.
Yeah.
And he was the he was the reason that team was just
They made
treading
the
water,
playoffs.
floating around.
They almost beat the Bengals.
Yeah, and so
the Bengals made the
and
Super Bowl.
I've always
I
been a
forgot about
Derek Carr fan and supporter, and I hope now that he has some support around him that he can make it happen, and I think he will make it happen. And I think the Saints win the division.
I do too. I like you said, I think it's the Saints' division to lose.
Yeah.
What is their over/under?
9.5.
I'd take the over.
Yeah.
I would think 10 wins.
I think
Definitely
they, they should beat up on their division, go 5-1, and they're a good enough team. They're not playing a first place schedule. I don't know who else I don't know what divisions they play.
We went through their schedule last week. They have the. If you look at like percentage of the win percentage of the teams, they have the second easiest strength of schedule this year.
What are they at?
And you go
9.5?
9.5.
I bet they win 10, 11
The Saints
games.
schedule. We went through it last week. It's such an easy schedule. It's second rated.
Yeah.
But I think the hardest team they play is like the Patriots, maybe.
Yeah.
That's the best
Or
team
the
they
Jags.
play.
Yeah. They have they don't play.
Well, if they play the Patriots, then they should play the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins.
No, I could pull it up again, but no, they don't play the Bills and Dolphins.
No, we get the AFC East. The NFC East gets AFC East this year. I think they're probably just because
We have to play Bills, Dolphins, Pats, and Dolphins.
Here, let me pull it up.
Yeah.
So the Saints' schedule, I'm just going to name off a few of the big name teams they play. So the division games, the Saints, or not the division, the Pats, the Jags, the Vikings, the
Packers.
Lions, the Packers,
So they play the North.
Rams, Colts,
Giants. Come on.
Giants. Yeah, they don't play any team.
Do we play them?
No. And there's not one game, looking at it right now, that the Saints are going into to where you're like, yeah, they're going to lose that game because they're playing the Chiefs or the Bills or the Ravens. Like, they have such an easy schedule.
Wasn't your bold prediction they get the 1 seed?
Yeah, that's my bold prediction.
Yeah. I could see that. Like,
And if they would, if with how weak the NFC is, my thing was if they could squeak out 12, I know 12 wins doesn't normally get you the 1 seed, but the NFC is so bad right now to where I think it's possible to where if they win 12 games,
with that schedule, if they're clicking, they could win 13.
Yeah. A few stats, too, I looked up from the Saints. So last year they were 12th in run-pass ratio. They ran the ball 46% of the time, but they were 29th in rushing EPA. So, they were running the ball a lot with zero results whatsoever.
Success.
They were running into a brick wall, trying to break through it, and they just had zero success.
Yeah.
I think with Pete Carmichael looking back on it, the addition of Jamal Williams, Kendry Miller, hopefully they can break through with that. And then actually a threat at quarterback now with Derek Carr in there. I think Chris Olave is going to go off this year. I think he's a badass receiver. And also their defense too. So the second half of the year, their defense was second in DVOA, first in yards per play allowed, and first in opposing passer rating, and fourth in yards per play. So the second half of the year, their defense was right there, even with the negative game script. So I expect that to lead into this year.
They're not going against any amazing offenses this year either. So it's, as long as they, control the ball, Derek Carr doesn't turn the ball over, defense plays well, they shouldn't. There's no way they shouldn't win less than 10 games.
Well, and that was the thing last year. We were talking about the Eagles. Obviously, the Eagles were way better than we even anticipated, but we said that was one of our bold predictions. They get the 1 seed, and the main purpose for that was their schedule. Yeah. We saw it last year. Like, they're rolling over crap teams all season long.
Yeah.
And it could be I don't think anyone thinks the Saints are going to be as good as the Eagles were last year.
No.
But it could be a very similar thing to where it's like they're running up against the bottom of the league and they have a good enough defense, a competent quarterback, and good enough weapons to where they just overmatch everyone.
And that was the thing too. Last year, the Eagles did that with a division that was playing at a very high level.
Yeah.
The Saints this year, we're going to get a division that it's looking like it should be a pretty easy
There'll
walk.
probably be 2 teams drafting top 8.
Exactly.
There should be.
So, and that's my prediction of the Saints that for the number 1 seed too. I said it in the podcast, but I was inspired by your Eagle call too. Because last year, no one said Philly was going to get the 1 seed. Nope. Most people were like, they might win the division, and Buzzsaw called it.
Right here, baby.
So, shout out Buzzsaw for that.
No, the reason I said that was because of the schedule.
Yeah.
Like, their schedule was so ridiculously easy, and it's like they're just going to overmatch teams with their personnel.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even care if Sirianni can coach.
And the Saints, they don't have Philly's personnel, but they have enough for the division to where they could make it happen. So.
Absolutely.
I mean, it really makes me want to go bet over that 9.5. That
I would bet that number. I'd bet over.
I think if I was to take any bet, I think I looked at it, they were like plus 180 to win the division. I think if I was
the Saints are plus
this
money.
This was a few weeks ago. It might have shifted a little bit, but that division.
That's how I robbed you last year.
Yeah, you did. But if I'll say this, if I was to make one bet for futures, I would bet the Saints to win the NFC
Look
South.
up their if they're plus money.
Look up the division.
If they're over plus
odds.
50, I'm going to bet that right now.
I looked at it was like plus 185. This was a few weeks ago.
Was that the favorite?
Yeah.
Wow.
The Falcons and Panthers were like right behind them.
NFL.
If they're still plus 180.
But let me say this: if we see the same type of offensive running philosophy last year as we did, then Pete, I don't care if he's fucking been there for 15, 16 years.
Well, okay.
He's got to go, man.
That's the thing, though. Like, when we were talking about if Carmichael figures it out, how the hell did he not figure it out last year? Like,
no, but that was the whole.
You've been watching Sean Payton use these running backs the right way
last year too, though, and that's why we had a lot of hope for optimism for the Saints because we said, okay, this guy has been in Sean Payton's shadow for
he's a Sean Payton
for a decade
disciple.
Plus.
The consensus odds are plus 120 for the Saints to win the NFC South.
Damn.
So
I mean, still plus money. Like
that's
Falcons
plus 195. I mean, Panthers plus 400 is really good value.
What are the Bucks?
Plus 800.
Plus 800?
Yep.
Oh my God, I'd bet that.
Yeah.
Plus 800?
What do the Saints just even make the playoffs?
I mean, hell, you just put money on the Panthers and Bucks. If one of them hits, you're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'd almost ride the Bucks. Dude, plus 800? That's insane.
The Saints are minus 184 to make the playoffs.
Yeah, no one likes the Bucks.
No.
Dude,
At
that's
all.
wild.
And I can't blame, but yeah, plus 800 seems a little bit ridiculous.
That's
put a flyer
steep.
on it.
Yeah, throw $10.
I mean,
on
there's
it.
a world where they win. Like, there's no doubt.
That wouldn't be crazy. I mean, it's still fucking Dennis Allen. All right, and last up, we got the Atlanta Falcons, also finishing 7-10 last year. They added Bijan, and they got rid of Marcus Mariota, but now they got Desmond Ridder at the helm. Arthur Smith is back.
I actually like Arthur Smith a lot. I think he's a good coach.
I like Arthur Smith, too.
So one thing, I think this is going to happen. They signed Taylor Heineke. I think by week 8 or 9, Taylor Heineke's going to be starting for the Falcons.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh,
They got
100%.
Heineke.
Dude, I think Desmond Ridder's terrible.
He's probably terrible.
I think he's awful.
I mean, Desmond Ridder.
He was awful last year.
He wasn't really that. He was good in Cincinnati, but he was never an accurate quarterback by any means.
He was playing like Akron University.
Yeah, and we saw that in his few starts in the league.
Yeah.
Like he's athletic. He can kind of make plays happen with improvisation. But I think Heineke is going to get put in there midway through the season.
The only thing
that would be a spicy team with Heineke.
That's a Heineke team.
That's a Heineke team with those weapons
and with how good they run the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah,
with Pitts and Drake London out there, you don't have to be that accurate when you're
Yeah.
throwing to 6'6" guys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. I didn't think about that. That's a good point. Shit, Ridder would probably be out of there by week 4 if he stinks.
I mean, with how easy their schedule is, like Ridder has to show that he has some promise in the first couple games.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, because they with the Falcons
he's in
too.
a great position.
So
if
they
he does have game, he'll show.
They were third in rush yards per game last year. They have arguably the best running or run blocking O-line in the league. Chris Lindstrom is one of the best guards in the
arguably
league.
the best running back now too.
Yeah, so I mean they're going to be able to run the ball, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
It's if Ridder can just be a decent enough just distributor and get the ball to London and Pitts and Bijan or whatever. If he could just be a good game manager, then this team also has a real shot to win the division. I'm not going to pick them to win the division, but if I was to not pick New Orleans, I would pick them to be the runner-up to win the division.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Their defense is bad.
Their defense is bad. They did add Jesse. They added Jesse Bates, who's one of the best safeties in the league.
Yeah.
David Onyemata, pretty good. Mike Hughes, Big East guy. Matt Collins, they added him. They also added.
See that video of Matt Collins?
Mm-mm.
Looks like a linebacker.
Does he?
Oh, he's huge.
He's like
gigantic. He's jacked.
They also, for what it matters, they added Calais Campbell. They'll get Eddie Goldman back. Eddie Goldman was actually a pretty good
still
player.
got Grady Jarrett.
Yep, Grady
yeah.
Jarrett still doing his
Yeah,
thing.
they got some dogs up front.
So they got
Jesus.
some yeah.
But yeah, I mean they're going to be
What's their win total?
8.5.
Wow.
I would take the under. I don't know.
That's high. I'd take the under.
They were a covering machine last year.
But they do have the easiest
That's in
they,
spreads,
They
though.
do have
Dude,
the easy schedule.
If you're
they won
betting
8-9 last year, right?
7 and
so
10.
if you're betting the over, you're betting them a winning record. I don't think
Yeah.
the Falcons have a winning record.
I just this division, it's just hard. You don't. The Saints are the only, like in my mind, the only like safe bet in this whole thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
Just they're the only team with a proven, capable quarterback. You know, we know
And a good roster.
and a good defense. I think there's something to be said too about the Saints defense. The fact they're all older, but this defense has been playing together at a high level for a really long time. And
Yeah.
I would imagine that this defense is pumped that they got Derek Carr.
Yeah.
So
The only good thing about Ritter was that in his games last year he didn't throw any interceptions.
yeah, and
So
that's
that's
what
the only
and
good
That's
thing.
what they're going to ask for him. They're not going to be chucking the ball downfield a lot, but just
No.
dink and
They're probably
dunk,
gonna
run the hell out of the ball.
60% of the time.
They should be a pretty fun fantasy team too. So
Yeah.
They got between Pitts, London, and Bijan. That's a fucking ridiculous big three.
That's
yeah,
it's a young.
that's a young.
Is that
I
a
mean-
stack?
is
Is that a stack?
Yeah, throw Ritter in
I
there.
don't know
you
how I
kidding
feel
me?
about Drake London yet, but
Yeah.
I like me some London.
You want to do
I know you
record
do.
predictions?
yeah.
Okay, I'll do mine first.
I didn't prep these.
Yeah, not
I'll
do
figure it
record
out.
predictions.
So for my NFC South record predictions, I have the Saints winning it at 10-7. I have the Falcons coming in second at 9-8. The Panthers in third at 8-9, and the Bucks at the bottom of the division at 6-11.
All right, I'll go Saints 11-6. Falcons 8-9. Panthers 8-9. Bucks 5-12.
yeah, I'll probably go. I like Saints 11-6. Give me the Falcons at 9-8. Give me the Panthers. Give me them 7-10, and then give me the Bucks at. Hell, we'll give them 6-11.
So we're pretty much all.
Yeah,
the
we're
same
all in the
spot.
same.
Pretty much
We're
all on
Saints.
par.
We're all in
Yeah.
the same spot. Yeah.
Without a doubt. All right.
Shit, I almost said Saints for 12 wins. I mean, with that
shot,
schedule,
that schedule.
seriously.
You know, here.
Well, and dude, the
I'm
other
gonna-
thing about that
no, here,
schedule is
I want you to hear this. I'm going to go through their schedule real quick.
no. Okay, but hold on. Like, they're two of the best teams they play. Jags and Vikings have miserable defenses.
Yeah.
I mean, their defenses are terrible.
Yep.
So they should carve
And no matter
those
what, the Saints'
defenses.
defense is going to keep them in games.
100%.
And if they could figure out how to run the ball, just
Yeah.
a lick. So just listen. So Saints, week 1, Saints, Titans.
Titans could win that game, but
Just
I'll say Saints.
Saints, Panthers,
Okay,
Saints, Packers, Saints, Bucks,
let's say 3-1.
Saints, Pats,
Okay,
Saints, Texans,
okay.
Saints, Jags,
Let's say
5-3. Is that
5-2.
5-2? Okay.
5-2.
Saints, Colts,
6-2.
Saints, Bears,
7-2.
Saints, Vikings,
7-3.
Saints, Falcons,
Should say 7-4.
Saints, Lions,
7-5.
Saints, Panthers,
8-5.
Saints, Giants,
Definitely 9-5.
Fuck off.
Saints, Rams,
10-5.
Saints, Bucks,
11-5.
Saints, Falcons, 12-5.
12. Yeah. I will just say 11-6.
Okay.
But yeah.
11-6, yeah.
But 12 and 5
12
is
and
not-
5.
yeah.
It's going to be 12-5 to 10-7. Like
Yeah.
it's going to be in that
Yeah.
range.
Yeah.
I would
regardless.
be very shocked if they win 8 games or under.
Oh,
If
If-
they have a
if-
losing record
Then
by the trade deadline,
Derek Carr's
Dennis
done.
Allen needs to be fired.
Yeah, and Derek Carr's done at that
Yeah.
point.
no,
he's cooked.
there's no reason they should go under this win total of 9.5.
No.
There's
Yeah.
no reason. Absolutely no reason.
I think 10-7 is the floor.
Yeah. Well, and it's 9.5, right? They're
Yeah.
over under.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bet that when I get home.
Yeah.
All right. Well,